Imagine being in this apartment as one of the 539 drones Russia launched at Kyiv last night struck just outside the window. 11 missiles were launched too, in the largest aerial assault on the Ukrainian capital since the war started. 7 long hours of explosions and the sound of anti-aircraft fire. But as Kyiv residents sheltered underground, the US has blocked further deliveries of the Patriot missile interceptors Ukraine needs to defend the city. Yesterday, President Trump seemed finally to have got the message that President Putin has no intention of stopping this war.
I'm very disappointed with the conversation I had today with President Putin, because I don't think he's there. I don't think he's there. And I'm very disappointed. Well, it's not, I'm just saying, I don't think he's looking to stop.
President Zelenskyy was in Denmark yesterday, trying to get more European weaponry. Today, he said he'd spoken to President Trump about joint defense production. Ukraine is developing some of the most advanced drones in the world, and the US may be interested in learning from their expertise. President Zelenskyy knows that President Trump likes to feel he's getting rather than giving something. On the front line, they're using howitzers manufactured in Ukraine.
It's a good thing that Ukraine launched its own production of this type of cannon, 155mm caliber. As much as we would like it, our partners provide some assistance, but not enough weapons.
And Ukraine needs US and European air defenses and offensive weapons now, because Russia has started its summer offensive. Russia has recently struck Kyiv, Kharkiv, Poltava, Odessa and other Ukrainian cities with some of the most intense missile and drone strikes of the war, while Russian forces are making gains on the front line around Sumy, Kupiansk, Konstantinivka, Pokrovsk and Huliopole. Ukraine, in response, is trying to take the war to Russia, yesterday launching a drone attack on an electricity substation near Moscow. And even President Putin's best friend, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, has been forced to acknowledge losses, holding a ceremony earlier this week to honor an undisclosed number of his soldiers who gave their lives fighting for Russia in Ukraine. For the people of Kyiv, clearing up from last night's onslaught, the key issue is air defenses. After today's conversation with President Zelenskyy, President Trump is reported to be open to restarting the supply paused by the US Defense Secretary. If he doesn't, it will be a long, hot and ever more violent summer in Ukraine.
Lindsay Hilson reporting there. Well, Alina Frolova has served as Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister. She's now Deputy Chair of the Center for Defense Strategies, and she's in the studio. Good to see you, Alina.
Good to see you too.
Is this the most vulnerable that Ukraine has been since the beginning of the war?
Well, I cannot say that we are the most vulnerable, because in 2022, obviously, we've been in like a much worse positioning. But we had advanced far, and we need to keep this progress, because if we want to see some kind of obvious perspective of this war to have end, Ukraine needs to be strong enough.
And the thing that you're really missing at the moment are those crucial air defenses.
Yes, specifically ballistics, yes, because all the other components, we do understand how to cover them in short or mid-term perspective, but the ballistics, that's we're highly dependent from Americans as well as Europe.
And I mean, there's some confused messaging coming out of Washington. On one hand, the Pentagon is saying, oh, we need this stuff because we might need it ourselves, although actually a lot of it is already in Poland, just waiting to cross the border. And then today, after his phone call with Zelenskyy, President Trump seemed to indicate there would be some progress. Have you heard anything more concrete about what might be coming and when?
Well, I don't think that someone heard something concrete, and this is actually typical now, the behavior of Trump's administration when they change their mind. I would argue with the this narrative that they have lack of the equipment, because when these supplies were approved, I think that they passed the same procedure of evaluating the storage which they do have.
What's going on here? Do you think that Trump has Zelensky's back in this? I mean, I know they've fallen out very publicly in the past. I mean, is America on your side or not?
If we speak about America, I think that the people are.
I'm talking about the administration.
Yes, but with administration, everything is much more difficult because I think that they are looking to support the winning part, and in their world, probably it looks pragmatic-wise, and so we need to prove that we are a winning part, and it changed from day to day, and I think that that's why their opinion is also changing.
So to be clear, you think that this is not about supporting the values embodied by Ukraine. That was the basis on which Biden supported you, on the basis on which the Europeans are supporting you. This is Trump looking to support whoever's up.
Yeah, this is my feeling about all that stuff.
So in that case, Russia seems to be more on the up at the moment. Why doesn't he support Russia more?
Well, Russia seems, yes, and we can demonstrate that Russia is not so strong with our battle in the Black Sea where we prevail, with our keeping them from moving forward substantially on the land operations, with our attacks on their long-range targets inside. They don't seem so strong. So it's like a changes. It's like a maneuver war when we see prevailing one side on one day and prevailing other side on another day.
We've been covering this war for over 3 years. You've been living this war for over 3 years. The level of exhaustion actually on both sides must be considerable, unbearable.
Well, we are living in this war 11 years, I would like to tell you, and this is something.
The latest phase, let's say.
Yeah. The issue is that we get accustomed to that. I mean, that whether it's bad or good, but I think it's more good because we are resilient. Yeah, we had the bad days or bad nights, but it doesn't mean we are ready to reject our goals, and it doesn't mean that we are ready to give up to Russia, because we do understand that we saw Bucha, we saw many other cities, and we do understand that coming of Russia means the physical death of us and our state. That's why we will continue to fight.
And when Putin spoke last weekend at a conference, he was very clear that he wanted all of Ukraine. He wants your entire country. Ukrainians don't exist as far as he's concerned.
Well,
that motivates you.
Yeah, that's actually didn't change. I mean, from the very beginning, from 2014, then he started to speak loudly. It's in 2021.
But Mr. Trump, I think, forgot that point.
Yeah, no, maybe he doesn't forget, but he didn't trust. But now I think that all the arguments are on the table, and that's the time for decision making. I do not expect much from, frankly saying, from U.S. administration. I do more expect more from Europeans and UK on support, and I think that this is more natural alliance which we have now. So I think that we will be strong enough to overcome that together.
Alina Frolova, thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to Cliff May, president of the Washington-based right-wing think tank, the Foundation for Defensive Democracies, and I asked him what the White House must make of events in Ukraine.
As far as Putin is concerned, I've been following him certainly for 20 years. I've been following Russia and the Soviet Union for more than 50 years. Let me just suggest this as an important understanding of Putin. His basic strategy is this. He has a bayonet, and he marches forward. And as he marches forward, if he feels mush, he continues to proceed. If he feels steel, he'll back up. What he's feeling right now is mush. And that is a mistake. The U.S. should not be letting him feel mush. President Trump has said on numerous occasions, I want peace, at least a ceasefire, at the very least. As for Vladimir Putin, he has made no concessions. He has shown no interest in negotiations, at least not serious ones. What he wants is not peace, is not a ceasefire. What he wants is victory. And victory means wiping out Ukraine as an independent, sovereign, free nation with its own culture and language. Now, in the administration, there are various voices. There are those who have, I think, a misunderstanding of who Putin is and what he represents, and a misunderstanding of Ukraine.
But Cliff, this is the third time that the Pentagon seems to have unilaterally decided to halt these shipments. And I think on the previous two occasions, Trump then reversed that. I mean, Trump must know what's going on.
I know there are those who are making the case that there are munitions here that we absolutely need and are essential for American defense. I don't think that's actually accurate. Many of these munitions were procured specifically
And they're in Poland,
Ukraine,
right? They're already in Poland,
and
waiting
some
to
of
go
them
across
were
the
in
border.
Poland. Absolutely right. So I don't think that's the case. Again, I think it has a lot. There is within the Pentagon, there are those who are not, who some of them think, well, the Europeans should be taking care of this. It's their backyard. Why don't they do this? We have to show them that they are not our dependents. They must be our partners. We must get them to do more. And by the way, this president and this administration has gotten the Europeans to do more, and I applaud that. And that's absolutely the case. And the Europeans should continue to do more, should take responsibility. I would also tell you, Matt, there are those with whom the president is close in the Senate and other places who I believe, especially now that the Iran, it's not over, but we're at a pause there, are going to be saying to him, this would be a mistake. Now is the time to do what you promised to do, Mr. President, which is put devastating, that word is in quotes, that word is from President Trump, devastating pressure on Putin through economic means. No, again, no boots on the ground. We're not talking about that. We want Patriot missiles to knock out of the sky what Putin is putting in the sky to kill women and children.
But Vladimir Putin is making a mockery of President Trump at the moment. And I wonder if President Trump knows that. So why does he not respond as many people would expect him to?
I think you're right on this, Matt. He does not like to be taken for granted, does not like to be mocked. I think that is what Putin is doing. And all I can say is I'm hopeful that this will be coming to his attention forcefully.
And just finally, I mean, Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, may have been acting out of line here. Is he going to be brought back into line by Trump?
It is possible that Pete Hegseth thought this is a good idea. It's possible he was doing something else and delegated the authority. It's possible he's not. We don't know all of this.
How do you think, briefly, this will end, both for Trump and for Putin, and obviously also for Ukraine?
I don't see peace ahead. I don't see a path to peace. What I see is most likely is at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, a truce, an armistice, what I might call a frozen conflict. It may end up that let's say 11% of the territory of Ukraine is in Russian hands for the time being. After Putin passes from the scene, who knows? Ukraine must remain an independent nation. That's in the American interest. That's in the NATO interest. That's in the interest of all of those of us in the free world who want to be.
Cliff May, have a good 4th of July. Thanks very much for joining us.
My great pleasure, Matt. Take care.